What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fi and Eric Sheetshaber. We're going to be talking about this NBA slate, which is for some reason is less games on FanDuel than it is on DraftKings, which we haven't seen, I don't think, this season. They don't have the 10:30 game, the Laker game on FanDuel. Anyway, I hope everybody had a good weekend. Golf was not my friend. Showdown was my friend a little bit, and I was supposed to leave for Santa Barbara, but then I had a practical thing happen, and I thought I was going to take down the Saturday NBA slate. So those were my exciting weekend things. Sheets, how are you doing? What's going on? And then we'll get into the slate.
Nothing really happened in DFS, but the good news is I am going to go to Scottsdale for the live final. And one thing I didn't know, I mean, I knew, but I forgot, is that it's kind of impossible to believe for an NBA slate, but because it's a live final, everybody there's no late swap.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it's to prevent collusion, I guess, like the people that are there. I suppose that would be the reason why the live final.
That's why it started. I still don't know why they do it now. I felt like they would have ironed this out by now. We've had a lot of issues over the years in the live finals. Yeah.
I can't imagine an NBA with no late swap, especially if anybody's questionable in later games. So I have no idea how I'm going to handle that.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I was so funny. I was looking through like who's playing, and it's literally everybody that you've heard of, and they all have like multiple entries. So it's gonna be rough. But listen, I'm bringing out my and everybody's bringing their seconds. They're like plus ones or whatever. I'm bringing the best plus one. I'm bringing Mrs. Sheets. So she's gonna get me all. She's gonna get me all the sims that I need. To get me home in that one. But I'm just gonna listen. I'm gonna try to have fun with it. And we're actually extending it. We're going for after Scottsdale for like a couple of days. We're gonna go to Canyon Ranch in Tucson for a couple of days.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, so we'll be back like Tuesday or something like that.
That's great.
But it's cool. It's a cool time to go because they're gonna have like the NCAA games up on the screens.
Yep.
During whatever. So it's maybe not the best Stacy trip, but we're gonna do a I'm taking her to a craft fair one of the days. So we'll.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm doing the right thing. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, that should be a lot of fun. Scottsdale's really nice, and that whole DraftKings place where I'm assuming it's being hosted is awesome. Yeah.
I saw a video that somebody did of like they recapped one from last year or something.
Yeah.
And not the NBA, it was the NFL one, which is much bigger, but still, it looks like they do a nice job with the whole thing.
Yeah, it's really and it's a cool place, and I like a lot of Scottsdale. I go to Scottsdale pretty regularly, so it's like a cool spot. Yeah. I've got some family and stuff out there, but that's awesome. That should be a lot of fun, man. I'm excited for you. I guess, and then getting into this one, I don't have I'm not sure I'm going to be able to play tonight. I'm going to try, but it's kind of tricky because I'm on the road and I've got some plans with my son later today. So I'm going to do my best, but I'm not 100% sure about all my content because it usually revolves around exactly what I'm doing. Although I'm happy to weigh in on anything. And I will be monitoring it because I'm going to try to play if I can.
It is a weird slate, like you mentioned. DraftKings is a very, very full slate, even well into the 10 o'clock games.
Yep.
And it doesn't start till 7:30, by the way. So we'll go live later tonight. If you can make it, I don't know what your schedule.
Yeah. My plan is to be there for that.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, check this out. Like a 7:30, 2 8s, 3 8s, then a 9, and then oh my God, look at this 1, 2, 3. 4 10 o'clockers and a 10:30.
Yeah.
Ooh, I might have a hankering to do something with this late night sweat. Maybe we'll see.
We'll see.
Right at 11 o'clock. That's a perfect time too.
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll see. I'll think about it. It's a long day for me tomorrow, but we'll see what kind of mood I'm in.
Yeah.
But one thing, if you haven't looked yet, I just posted the sheets up for at least early, and. Before we get into it, Bobby was about to update me on some of the things that we've done with the site because I've been out for the last week or so, and we have like these new tools that we're integrating with Paydirt, which I mean Bobby's literally going to update me on it like after this, and it's just a new kind of offering that we can give people and different options to use SaberSim, which he's going to explain to me too. So I do encourage everybody to check out the different variations of how you can access all of our stuff because I don't even know what it is yet. But as a matter of fact, we should probably make some kind of video, right?
Yeah, there's James has actually made some videos explaining his video tools. But
Right.
we actually, we need a sort of like a site run through video and all that stuff, just so
Yeah.
everybody understands, because it's a pretty incredible offering right now with all the pay dirt stuff, and people have already been hitting just nailing it. A lot of it with like some of the sports betting stuff with pay
Oh,
dirt.
really?
Yeah, and then obviously we have all the all of the SaberSim stuff as well, and then we were adding all of Andrew Stukas's stuff, and then we have the other core package from SaberSim that we're adding this week. So a lot going on.
A couple of other like quick announcements. I am not going to be doing anything with like NCAA bracket stuff like per se, but I am going to be doing with Brave Jayhawk. We're going to be doing a March Madness Survivor video
Nice.
on Wednesday. And we are going to be doing that. I don't particularly have any great interest in bracket stuff. I know everybody wants that. But I just don't have any interest, nor do I feel I have any kind of an edge. So I don't play those things. But if anybody, hey, listen, if Rody or anybody's into that and wants to do a video on it, cool, whatever. Who was it that had somebody who was like an expert in that came on a year or two ago? Rody's friend? Or was that your friend? I forget who it was. Somebody knew something about it. It was somebody that came on, and now I forget who it was.
Huh.
Anyway, listen, lots going on between all the UFC and NASCAR and golf and basketball and baseball is like just probably right when I come back, right? I mean, like baseball's it's baseball before April, right? It's like late March.
Yeah. Very end. I forgot the first day, because I know the Dodger first day just happened. Or is happening. So let me see. MLB opening day is.
I think it's the 28th, maybe.
It might be the 28th. First week of April. It usually falls in the first week of April, but this what is it? It's March 27th. That's what that's it.
Wow, that's amazing. So we're gonna have to we'll figure this out. We not to mention hockey and League of Legends. Oh my goodness gracious! All right, we'll get it done. And I'll mostly be around for a while. So after I come back, so that's good.
Yeah.
All right. So with respect to tonight's slate, I mean, I don't know if you've looked yet, but there seems to be a decent amount of value. I mean, like right, at least at this point in the day, and it's value that I can kind of get down with. It's so I guess we'll get to it when we get to it. But it looks to be, I have like at least 4 guys with 6x or above, and some other people like really pushing to get close to that. So if there's anybody who's a really, really good spend up, like we've just both Luka and Jokic on the slate tonight. I mean, you can get to those pretty easily. But I guess we'll just go game by game. Is that easy?
Yeah, I think it's probably the best way to go. Just there's value, but I think there's going to be a lot more value later today.
How can there be even more? Oh my God!
There just has to be. It's every day we see this, and it's just there's ends up being like all of the stuff that we consider early in the day almost becomes irrelevant by the end of the day. But as far as value goes, but I still believe in the process of getting these things, getting an original idea of sort of where you're at. And for me, that's going to mean crossing off some games.
Like the first one.
Like the first one, especially, certainly the Miami side, I have no interest in anything. Yeah, sure, if you want anybody to make a case. The one I think that the only other play I have interest in this game is, and I think he's been under projected, and now they're starting to get it right, is the Miles McBride at 5,500. I think you could make a case for Towns too. There's going to be some other options that are later in the day, but for me, probably mostly a cross off. Those are the only 2 guys I'd really consider heavily.
Yeah, I only see Cat as somebody who's like projecting well enough to be considered. Now, what we're going to do at the end of this, when we go through like the plays and stuff like that, is I am going to run kind of a sample build to show you, number 1, how I do it. Number 2, what looks good. I would imagine, without even looking, that I'd get probably nothing from this game.
Yeah, I can't see much of anything. I just think there's something to the McBride play. That's the only one that I went out of my way the other night to do it, and I would definitely consider doing it again. I just think that he's got a little bit too much upside in his current role with no Brunson that we could certainly consider it anyway. All right, what do we have next here? So
I have Philly Houston next, and this is another one I'm getting very little of, if anything. I mean, as far as straight value goes, like none of them are in my top, I want to say 20, as far as like just point per dollar stuff goes. And as far as just upside and whatever and raw points, yeah, I have Sengun, At 9,600, he looks pretty good. But I mean, is he better than Cat? I don't know, maybe. I don't know, maybe. So I do have Sengun looking okay, and really nothing else. I mean, these Philly guys have been really, really good values over the last couple of games they played. They're not showing up now. Maybe they've just gotten bumped in. Oh my God, Quentin Grimes is now. Oh, they did it. They finally did it. They bumped all these guys. All right, so none of them are values anymore, pretty much.
Well, I actually think they're all going to be values again.
You do?
I don't even care about the pricing. There's a chance they end up with only 9 bodies or 8 bodies. There's a chance they end up with 10. Now, if they end up with 10, I think we don't have to play them. But if they end up with 8,
look at this. If these 2 guys are now doubtful, I didn't even see this.
You got Bona, Oubre, Drummond, all doubtful, who are getting a projection right now. But and then for some reason they finally did add O'Shea Brissett, but like if they're down to 8 guys, even with a little bit of an elevated price, I'm just going to think there's going to be something here, and I don't think it's going to be like a must like it was the other day, but it's going to be hard to consider that if they end up with 8 or 9. Now there's a chance they might get Okiki, who's not eligible on DraftKings or FanDuel. He might get back. He might be back. If he's there, then giving them a 10th, and everybody else who's supposed to play plays. Then I think we can forget about them. If they end up with 8, there's no way I'm going to just ignore a team with 8.
So is it going to be like Alex Reese season or something?
It could be, and it could also just be, look, maybe they got the price looks high on Ricky Council and Quentin Grimes and Justin Edwards, but if they're down, it really depends on what happens with Yabusele, what happens with all of Drummond, Oubre, Bona, who are all doubtful. If all those guys are out and they don't get Okiki in today, then I would consider it.
Are we going to have to worry about how Alex Reese correlates with Jalen Hood-Schifino?
No. And that's pretty funny.
These are the things I think about when you take up DFS is how we're going to nail down this Jalen Hood-Schifino correlation metric. That's really, really the deal. I mean, I feel so bad. Like his like whole family and parents are like so like pumped that he's like in the NBA and all this stuff, probably making millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And I'm like sitting here like shading on Jalen Hood-Schifino just because I've never heard of him. It's crazy.
He was actually in a trade earlier this year, and he was like the only player in the trade.
They actually wanted him. Like it was a trade. Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of shocking. The only player for me as of right now who shows up in this game is Tari Eason. I actually think it's a pretty. I really like Tari Eason. Those of you guys who don't know, I have this love affair with these Rockets guys, and there's no Amin Thompson. And Tari Eason, I just think has a tremendous ceiling. Assuming that, wait, who am I waiting on that news? There's somebody I thought I was waiting on. Tari Eason, they're really not projecting. Okay, well, I think Tari Eason's interesting he's showing with some ownership early in the day. I don't think that will be the case. Why are they projecting to Jabari Smith to start instead of him? I don't know. But Tari Eason has just been like, he's just so active. And against a team like this, I just think he'll end up with like 35 to 40, maybe even a little bit higher. But that might not even be good enough tonight because there's so many good plays.
What are the Detroit Pistons record?
They're really good. They won a bunch in one point. Right now, at least
they're over 500.
Oh yeah.
So basically, Detroit was like threatening to like break the record for most losses last year.
Yeah.
And now whoever that coach is has to be coach of the year.
No, I think the Celtics. So oddly, their coach is the Cavs. Is the coach who was coaching the Cavs last year, and Kenny Atkinson, who's now coaching the Cavs, I think is going to be the coach of the year. But but there's certainly a good case for him, and I think it's down to Atkinson to what's his name. Although all the players hated him on the Cavs, so I don't know what that's about. For some reason, maybe this is the kind of team he thrives coaching. But you're right. It's definitely in consideration. It's between those guys, and honestly, it's between those guys and JJ Redick. Those would probably be the 3 coach of the year candidates as of right now.
Well, Atkinson and Redick have like a name value, so I'm sure they're probably favored. I mean,
well, it's what's his name's son. His coach was the dad. His dad was a coach too. What's his? God, why am I? I have to look this up now just for my own sanity. I keep forgetting his name. I know it, but I just forget it.
Coach of who?
It's JB Bickerstaff.
Oh, really? Bickerstaff is the coach of the Pistons?
Yeah.
Wow.
But
he's got name value too then.
Yeah, there's name value everywhere.
All right. Well, in any case, I got thought I saw. Yeah, I had Cade Cunningham as a pretty good spend up today. And again, like you might be able to get up to the 12K and oh my God, Jokic is 13K. Ooh. But I mean, you can save some dough. You know, it's worth thinking about. So I do like Cade tonight. New Orleans. You know what I've been doing this year more than I think I have in like 5 years? I have been playing Zion more often. And you know what? It gets a little frustrating for all the reasons, for the same reasons why the teams that wanted him to play for him get frustrated. I mean, like when he's on the court, he looks like the best player in basketball. You know, actually, he doesn't even look like the best player in basketball because like he's not like no one plays like him. You know what I mean? Like there's nobody that plays like him.
Right.
So it's not like he's better than this guy and worse than this guy. You can't compare him to anybody.
Absolutely. But at his very best, you know, a couple of years ago, we were talking about him as, okay, well, he'll be in the top 5 of the NBA players next year, you know, with a healthy season. But you know, they won't let him play now, and he's actually been trying to play. And he's gotten in better shape, and he's played terrific when he's been there this year for what it's worth. Like sort of like you're saying.
Yeah, but so I'm not getting him today though. So for me, it looks like just Cunningham or nothing. What do you think here?
I like the Cunningham a lot in this game. If you give me a competitive game against a team, people early in the season, the Pelicans were like one of the slowest paced teams in the NBA. They've now, where are they at over the last 10? They actually dropped a little bit back again. Oh, they did drop a little bit back. Well, how about that? They sped up there for a while. They've slowed down, I guess, a little bit more lately, but it's really depends on who's playing. They've got 3 guys questionable in Zion, Missy, and Olynyk. As of right now, if the only one I would, and I think it'd be a reach probably to get to Zion, but if those 3 guys are out, then you're looking at, you know, Trey Murphy, McCollum, Bruce Brown. But I still think there's probably better plays in this slate. So for me, mostly in this game, it's probably just Cade, like you said. All right. And then we go over to
Indianapolis. Against Minneapolis. All right. So I have Obi Toppin as kind of a reasonable 3,600 play. I mean, there are other guys with a little bit better point per dollar, but he's definitely showing up. Minnesota, not too much. So just point per dollar stuff. It's just Obi Toppin. But then even looking at upside, yeah, I mean, Anthony Edwards, he's always playable. He's 9,300. I like that. And Halliburton's always playable. He's okay, 8,600. Both of them are going to be sub 10%. So, yeah, I like Edwards. I like Halliburton, and then some Obi Toppin.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, these Timberwolves are absolutely on fire. It's pretty scary for the teams in the West because the 2 seed right now, they're separated by like 2 games, the 2 seed and the 7 seed. So is that right? Actually, I just saw that.
What seed is Memphis now, by the way?
Memphis is Memphis is the 4. No, Memphis is tied for the 2 seed right now.
Okay,
but they're the 4th seed. They're tied, the 3-way tie with the Rockets, Nuggets, and Grizzlies, and they're 43-25, and the Timberwolves are 40-29, 3.5 games back. So, and the Timberwolves have won 8 in a row.
Wow.
They've won 14 in a row with Randall. Healthy.
Amazing.
They've really turned their season around. But the thing that they can't get anywhere because the Warriors, since Jimmy Butler, the Warriors have won 7 in a row. They don't lose. The Lakers went on that crazy streak which is now fallen apart a little bit since LeBron's been out. But it's a total crapshoot. Even the Clippers as the 8th seed, who will have to be in the play-in, like every one of these teams can beat. I don't know about the Clippers beating the Thunder, but I think every team in the West can beat the worst team might be favored in every, or the lower seed might be favored in every series other than OKC. Pretty wild. Anyway, so Indiana with no Siakam. Look, I'm just going to mention it as a game theory thing. We've seen this happen before where players are missing and we assume Obi Toppin. Now, I love playing Obi Toppin at low ownership because you never know when you're going to get that crazy, 40 fantasy point game in 20 minutes. I'm just not sure I'm buying into that. Okay, we're going to have Obi Toppin play all the minutes. He's projected at 25 right now. I think there's certainly some downside on that. Indiana can play a little bit, somewhat to. Again, you want to play bigger against this team, but to be honest, they might use Thomas Bryant at the same time as Turner. But but certainly Turner, Halliburton, and Neesmith all being questionable. Also, I'm just curious what they end up doing with those guys, because then we might have to play these plays. But if you're telling me right now that I have to play Obi Toppin on a 10-game slate, I'm saying there might be other avenues. Now, if anybody else is out, throw that away, and then we're playing him. But Benedict Mathurin is my most interesting contrarian play from Indiana.
Well, you know what? You definitely don't have to play him because even if like someone's out, because remember the Philly thing could be a thing. Okay, yeah. Not to mention all the better value that existed without Philly is coming up in later games. So. Yeah. It's really gonna be a challenging slate, I think. So we move ahead, like Chicago, Utah. Now we're into the 9 o'clocks, and now we start talking to the first, 2 value pieces that at least exist now, and that would be the same guys that have been like this for I guess it seems like weeks. Kevin Huerter.
Yeah, I just want to throw out with Indiana that didn't get. I just want to throw out that I think this is like a perfect spot to play Anthony Edwards. So that's it. Sorry.
No, I mentioned that. I think you're even playing him with Halliburton. You could certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. I would play both those two guys. Sorry, I just forgot to say it before.
Yeah. Chicago, Utah, you're the first 2 pieces, and these guys have been chalky and well projected since the last 2,000 salary points. Right. Herder was 30 something when he was first chalk, and he's performed nicely, and so they moved him up. Trey Jones was a little bit more expensive, but he's moved up to 5,900, and they're still looking like close to 6x plays. So those 2 look good. Did I have a who is guy? No, Patrick Williams still looks reasonable enough at 3,600. But who is guys coming in a minute, I think. What else in this game? Utah really don't see too much here. So yeah, I guess those same 2 guys. I guess Kobe White is reasonable. 7,800 feels a little frothy, but Trey Jones, Herter, maybe some Kobe White. Those would be my guys here.
Yeah, I think that I think Trey Jones would be my favorite. I think that we get the minutes back from Vucevic pretty soon. Okay. He's been on this 28 to 30, 26 to 28 limit. It's a good enough matchup where you could certainly consider him. But I don't think on this big of a slate I'd want him unless I had no minutes limit. That's just personally where I'm at. So Vucevic is somebody that I'm gonna have to reconsider later on. Kobe White, I actually don't mind the price. I think that it's reasonable with none of the backcourt. And I would go Trey Jones, White, and then Herter. I'm okay with the Herter thing. I just want to. He doesn't. There is no. I don't think we have to do that on this slate. It's a later game, and he's 5,200. There is so many ways for him to bust. It's just annoying to me. And he's going to still play minutes, so he can get there. But it's just I don't feel great about it. I actually think I'd prefer playing Buzelis to Herter personally. That's just me, but that's where I'm at. And the Bulls are for what it's worth trying to win. Does it mean anything? Probably not. I think Utah is going to look like a gold mine later today to most people. You have 4 of their top 6 are doubtful. And then they're already missing, Collins and Hendricks. Which
now look at all this. These aren't even in the projections. So look at this.
We won't have that.
Oh wow, Kessler. What are they even doing with a team? You know what I mean? What I don't even get any of this.
They're in the weird. Well, since remember I mentioned when we did a show before that they didn't want to get fined. And it was because they did get fined. They changed the whole thing. The NBA fined them for sitting out Lauri Markkanen without putting him on the injury report. So they said, okay, well we have to play him now. So it's really weird. But it's made other teams
available to avoid fine.
But you know what? You know who's good for it? It's good for us who want to have DFS and some sort of a life. Because now the teams are getting a little bit better about announcing things. Less late scratches, more things on the reports. At least if something's on the report, they can justify it. But Utah may end up with they may end up with 9 guys tonight. And I always say, well, they find a way to play everybody all these minutes. I've got them projected to only play 9 guys tonight. So, and Sexton is one of them. So I don't know how this is going to work. But I think Isaiah Collier is going to look like a good play. I think Keontae George, if he plays, will look like a good play. He's not doubtful. He's just questionable. And then I think we might be talking about Cody Williams, Bryce Sensabaugh, and potentially KJ Martin or Zhu Zhang by the end of the day. It's just up in the air as to who's going to be available. But I mean, I look at the NBA page; they've only got 9 guys written by Utah today.
Yeah,
is one of them, which is weird to me.
So it's like I said. I mean, like even if like 4 guys are out for Indiana, I still don't think Obi Toppin's going to be that big of a deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if these Utah guys, they may have like 8 guys or whatever they'll end up having.
Yeah.
First of all, they'll probably be a 15-point underdog by the end of the day, I guess. I don't know.
It's pretty wild that the Bulls could be a big underdog, big favorite against anybody. But yes, it probably is true.
But there's no players. You know what I mean? Like it's
well, kind of. The Bulls are missing everybody too. Like,
that's so funny.
You know, Trey Jones and Kevin Huerter would be like the 10 and 11 man for Utah too.
You know what's interesting? You know, I guess I never thought about it this way. Like you have these NBA teams that are like tanking and doing whatever. How bad is it be to like one of these players? You know, like you go to practice. Like, okay, you're sitting tonight. Oh, I mean, seriously, you know what I mean? Like must be so depressing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know what like, and the thing is, we all know players don't tank, the teams do. So
no.
I mean, it's pretty wild that guy Jared Roden for Toronto. He goes off and has a monster game the other night. Like it's a great thing. It's for his life and all this stuff. And of course, they said, what do? They send him to the G League. like you played too well. It's pretty wild what these teams are doing. And they've got to figure out some way. It's a pretty straight up fix, in my opinion. You just have nothing to do with it. In fact, I would go the other way. I don't care that it would have a long-term whatever. It's, make it the other way. How about this? You just barely missed the playoffs. You get the number 1 pick. What about that?
Right.
Make everybody try to play during the season and make the season shorter. Those would be my two big takes. All right. Next up is it Memphis, Sacramento, or which one of the?
Yeah, Memphis, Sacramento. I have. Oh no, Denver, Golden State.
Denver, Golden State. Okay.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, Jokic is 13K, and you can get to him. First of all, when I run my builds, I almost promise you I'm not getting any of them. I just never do. At 13K with such a big slate, it's hard to get there at 13K.
I think we'll get there today by the end of the day is my bet.
You think so?
10 games is too much value going to be out there.
Right, I guess. But what I'm saying is it's hard to really make optimal at 13K. It just is. We'll see if I actually get there. I mean, I think I might just eat the 1,000 and take the 1,000 and play Luka even. I don't know. We'll see what. And I bet you when I run these builds, like at least right now, well, it's stupid to run them now because I have Utah projected as in.
Right. It's impossible to run anything.
I'll do it just to show people how to do it, but that's just ridiculous. So anyway, he's gonna look accessible and a good projection. Golden State, I'm not really seeing much of anything. I have a question. Is this like one of those games where Draymond like guards Jokic somehow?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, for my personal take, and I've watched a lot of Jokic games, I think he actually he struggles more with smaller defenders. Now, he doesn't struggle with double teams at all. He can score on them, but his natural instinct is not to want to score. So I think actually putting smaller defenders on him has worked. And Draymond is obviously a terrific defender too.
Yeah.
Anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
So that's really all I have. I don't really have too much.
Yeah, this is a great real life game. This is, as of right now, could either be the first round 2-6, could be a 3-6, depending. I don't know where all the tiebreakers are right now, but it could be the 3-6, it could be the 4-5, it could be the 2-7. I don't know which series it could be, but it could be any one of those. And as I mentioned, Golden State has been absolutely on fire here. Assuming that Aaron Gordon is back, which I think he is, he's questionable officially. So is Jokic and Murray. I imagine they're going to be trying to go for it down the stretch. So with the day off, I assume we'd see Murray back. If not, you look at Westbrook again. I think we're by the end of the day, I'll be trying to get to Jokic. That would be my take. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to play, especially with all this crazy news out there, and trying to do that on the road, which is, if you try to go to dinner and do stuff, it's just impossible.
No.
But by the way, do you use the laptop, right, Sheet? So like, I was going to ask you this about NBA season, MLB season, because it's coming around the corner. Can you do the mass swaps, and can you convert over pretty easily? Okay,
laptops are easy.
Nice, because I've got a credit at Apple for one, and I just haven't used it yet because I
Oh,
haven't needed
laptops are easy. You could, I mean, I can do my laptop stuff when I'm away.
it.
I can play easily.
What you mean with the what's it called, with the iPad?
No, I don't have an iPad.
Oh, you don't have an iPad. I thought you had an iPad.
No, I have a laptop. You said.
Oh, okay. You usually take your laptop with you. I got you.
Yeah, I just take my laptop with me.
Okay.
I don't know how I don't know how I know anything with Apple works.
Okay. All right. No, that's cool though. I just wanted to make. I'll double check that. For some reason, I thought you had an iPad, but I don't know why.
No.
All right. So I do think this is a good Draymond spot. So Jokic and Draymond would be my first and probably my only thoughts here. Always worth thinking about Curry in these kind of games, but I just think the slate being huge, it's going to be hard for me to get to him. But Curry and Butler aren't bad. I wouldn't take them out of the mix. I just wouldn't prioritize them.
All right. So best point per dollar play on the slate right now is coming from this next game, and that would be Scottie Pippen Jr. At least as of now. You know, we don't know what all this Utah and Philly stuff will be, but I have him at over 6x. I have literally no reason to dispute this. And my ownership projection 29% is probably a huge joke. Although again, it depends on what else happens for the rest of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
He looks really, really strong. And what else? Not really too much standing out as far as like values go aside from him, which is a little bit strange. I would think like Desmond Bane or somebody. I'm not even finding him on the list. Jaren Jackson Jr. 8,400. Maybe Bane isn't even playing. I don't even know. But that's pretty much all I have actually from this game. I thought I'd have more, but it's just Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, I just want to, flashing back to Friday, and I don't know what's going on with Ja right now, but like I know, he played Friday, he had a monster game, and I remember, we did different shows that day, and I said on the shows that I did on the live thing, I was making sure I had it like 50% of Ja Morant, who was 2% owned, and he was the highest scoring player on the slate. He scored 46 real life points. He had just a monster game, and then he's out, but like Memphis is in the middle of this huge playoff positioning situation. So I'm kind of wondering what they're doing, unless he really should be out. I didn't see the most recent injury update of exactly what it was going on with him. So I was sort of surprised to see him out today, along with Santi Aldama, who's doubtful. And look, Scottie Pippen came off the bench, and even on the Saturday slate was only 50% owned, which is kind of surprising. He was 3,700. So I'm not sure about where his ownership's going to end up, but I do think that it certainly makes plenty of sense. Yeah, the way it doesn't work is Kennard. So I think you want to make sure to have one of Pippen or Kennard as long as we have no Ja here. But Jaren Jackson Jr. coming back too. I just would be much more open to this game environment for the Memphis side. I mean, this is almost a 240 total. Both these teams play quick. So I have a little bit of interest in all of those guys. And in Bane is just a little too expensive for me to probably throw him in there, but they're all interesting to me. And I think this is the kind of game where you could just sort of like forget about the projections and say, okay, well, I'll just plan this for my 10 o'clock Eastern, and then I can always sub later or whatever. But this would be the game I'd be using because I actually really like Zach LaVine, Malik Monk, and Sabonis on the other side. Now, I don't want them all together, obviously, but I think playing one of these guys in this type of game environment, these are two of the fastest teams. Memphis is like the second fastest team or the fastest team, depending on what week you catch them. So I like the idea of trying to go out of my way to play these guys a little bit. Again, it's just it's a big slate, and I don't think you set it and forget it. I think if you're late swapping the way you should be, then that's the way you use these late games right now, because you're going to probably get news somewhere else. But I wouldn't mind ending up with anybody in this game. The one who's going to be, the only one who's a real priority is the Scottie Pippen for me. But I do think that there's a lot of other stuff to like in that kind of game environment.
I'll tell you, we didn't really go over this over the last week or two, obviously, but there was one slate where I thought I was in really good shape. It was set up, and it just didn't work out. Not the game where Ja had the good game, but the game where he had a bad game. I had like an incredible set of like five guys in my lineup, like value guys that all freaking smashed. Yeah. And I had this big old freaking correlation monster, not stack with Ja and Bane on one side and Shea on the other side when those two play each other, and just like all three of them busted. It was like so annoying. I mean, they bust whatever, but nobody really got. But I mean, Ja did take like 1,000 shots. He just didn't make any of them. It was like it was a little annoying. But I just wanted to vent about that. Okay, so let's move on to Toronto Phoenix, and One other thing, and I always joke about this. One other thing you always have to remember to do when Ja Morant is out is to play Tyus Jones. Like, we always remember to do that, right? It's like, and now he's out, so we're going to play Tyus Jones, even though Tyus Jones is not on his team anymore.
Right.
So
That's really funny.
Tyus Jones is 4,300. I have him projecting near 6x, and every time I play him, I'll just say this: I'm always happy that I did. Like, he's always has the ball when you expect him to have the ball. He shoots when you think he should shoot. He gets assists when you expect him to assist. And I'm sure he's busted before, but I haven't seen it. so if I didn't see it, it didn't exist. So I have no problem playing Tyus Jones. So I like that. Weird Toronto guy who's showing up is I'm getting almost 6x on Orlando Robinson.
Everybody. I mean, this is another one where Toronto might end up with everybody out.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, they have bodies available as of right now, but
there it is again. Here's another one. Scotty Barnes. I haven't projected this in. He's doubtful. Pirtle doubtful. Oh my God, this slate's you'll end up playing Luka and Jokic together. I mean,
I think so. I really do. The thing is they have other bodies, so it's not the same situation where they had 8 guys the other night. But that's assuming that Quickly and Agbaji is doubtful, so I don't know where that's coming from. And then I don't know. It really just depends on who. I have no idea. I do think that this again speaks though more to waiting till the 10 o'clock games. Yeah. Maybe I do that, Cheats, if I'm going to play tonight. Maybe I just don't even touch the early games and just leave everything for 10 o'clock and after. And I can just sub along the way. Just hit my little button.
Or you can play the late slate. You can do that too.
That's true. I could do that.
So here's a couple of guys. So wait. So Barnes is out. I mean, doubtful. Barrett questionable. Quickly questionable. Pirtle out. Then you have these guys that we've only heard of them because we've had to play them recently, like the AJ Lawson, the Jamal Sheed, Colin Castleton, Jameson Battle. I've played him before, and here he is, our big villain. Garrett Temple is on the team.
Garrett Temple was like he crushed the other night.
Oh, did he really? Oh my God!
Out of the, they only had 8 players, and they didn't play one of them. So they played 7 with maybe they had 9 and they only played 8. I don't know how to figure anything the hell what they're doing over there. I'll tell you what, if they do sit all these guys that they're projected to, maybe you just unless we hear the actual word, I don't know what this is with Boucher, what they're doing, what the point they're trying to make, but he's available and they won't play him. I don't know what's going on, but if they end up again with no players, I think that it's at least got to be at least in consideration. I mean, when I say he crushed, he put up P8x, he put up 24 at 3K. I wouldn't play Garrett Temple. I'm just throwing out. I think right now it's really hard to analyze this game because I don't know. I don't have any idea who's playing. If Quickly, Barrett, and Scotty Barnes are out, obviously we know we have to play AJ Lawson, probably Jamal Sheed again. I just don't know how we don't.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you could play. I mean, certainly nobody from the Knicks game. Philly, Houston, even. I mean, Detroit, New Orleans. I mean, I don't know how you play at many of this stuff.
You can play Cade. That's okay.
Who?
Cade.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, and Philly, Houston again. If everybody sits, but if nobody sits, then we just don't even need to touch it.
Right. Who? Have you have any idea who Colin Gillespie is?
Yeah, the backup guard over there. I think he got some run the other night, and apparently they're trying different things. It's pretty much the nightmare. I mean, if you want to see a team that looks unhappy and they don't want to be there anymore, it's the Suns. I've never seen a team look less interested. I think he might have even started. I think this Colin Gillespie. The only reason I'd be okay with it because it's a later game. You're going to have a lot of players from later games. You could swap.
No, if you want to swap off of better plays, probably. I guess.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be any Colin Gillespie in lineups by the end of the day.
I guess
there's just too many value plays. I mean, even his projection is not he's at projected around between 15 and 18. That's going to be nothing by the end of the day.
All right. So what about these Washington Portland characters? So you have Champagny, 5,400. He looks decent enough, for now. Then you have Klingon, who looks decent enough for now. Avdia looks decent enough for now, but how are they going to look later in the day? Oh my God, Marcus Smart it plays basketball.
Sometimes.
And not only that, but he plays on Washington. If you gave me 20 guesses of what team he was on, I would not come up with it. He's 4K.
He was on the win. He was on the winner last week in the one game he played.
Does he play? Does he play enough where you can play him in 4K?
No, but he still got there the other day somehow. Anyway,
All right.
Sometimes he gets there. For what it's worth, Champagny, who I've always been high on as a player, but I've never wanted to play him in DFS because I felt like they just kept cutting his minutes. I think Champagny is like totally interesting at 5,400. And just a shout out to Alex Sarr has become like,
yeah, I love that guy.
He's been good, man. And I mean, this guy had like hype around him. Ended up being the number 2 pick in the draft. Obviously, he's not a nobody, but maybe Washington isn't quite as dysfunctional as they used to be. They're only 6-point dogs on the road to Portland because they have some grownups in the room with Middleton and Smart there now, and they've been playing better basketball with it. So kind of interesting to see. So mostly it would be Champagny or Sarr. I think it's kind of interesting to take a long shot on Jordan Poole when we were playing him so much at high ownership and kept failing us, and then he just like starts going nuts in random games. Yeah. This feels like one of those kind of games where he could go nuts a little bit.
Well, that's what he does, man. That's what he does.
Yep, absolutely. And also for what it's worth on the other side, I'm so impressed by Avdia as a real life basketball player. I actually think that it's like I hope he plays for a good team at some point because he's efficient. He does everything. He can pass, rebound, shoot. He can handle for a guy his size. I really like his game, and I just feel like he's finally getting projected where he should have been, and so I like him. But I actually think my favorite play here would be Scoot. Scoot has really shown his upside lately. I've never sold my stock on him. He's looked, he's going to have up and down games, but I think at this price he's very reasonable. And as I said, I'm more interested in stacking the end of the slate than I am the early part of the slate anyway. The one that might look a little bad from a projection standpoint, but I think has upside also is Shaedon Sharpe. And those would be the 3 I would be playing from Portland. I have to think about the Klingon thing. I think he's okay. I just think there's other players that I'd rather use at center.
Yeah, for those that have obviously been following, I mean, obviously I have many heroes from Portland this year.
You've done really well with them.
Yeah, I had a Scoot hero ship. I had a Denny hero ship. I have all kinds of good, and the Kamara hero ship. That one game, 35 steals or something like that against LeBron, right? He got like 11 steals against LeBron or something like that.
If Portland was in the East, they'd be in the playoffs this year. This is not like a terrible basketball team by any means. And on a year they were trying to tank, they almost like couldn't even do it. They were beating good teams. They're a good team.
I was announcing they were the worst team in basketball, and then proceeded to win like 100,000 playing them. It's just, and they're growing into it too. Everybody's like 24 or younger, and most of them are like 21. All right, then we closed it out with the Spurs at my Lakers. What are you getting to here, Sheets? I mean, not much. Keldon Johnson looks okay at 5K. I would like to say, and obviously I mentioned Luka. I'd like to say, because I saw that he had a huge game the other day, like Austin Reeves. Mm-hmm. If you told me, like at the beginning of the year or whatever, that you would have LeBron and Luka on the team, and Austin Reeves would be 8,900, I'd be like, what? But it's because LeBron and Luka have been out. But yeah, no, I know. Yeah, but he has been. What did he have? Did he have like 50 real life points the other day?
46, I think.
It was nuts. I don't know if I can do that, but I just wanted to point that out. But yeah,
earlier this year, the 46.
Yeah,
36 in that game.
Yep, that's pretty much all I got. Why don't you go over this while I start to run my?
Yeah,
I'm gonna run it, but it's stupid because of these other teams. But I'll just run it.
I think the projections are too low on San Antonio. I think Keldon Johnson, some combination of Johnson, Castle, Vassell, and Sohan, all of those guys I have interest in. The highest level would probably be Keldon Johnson and Vassell. But I'm totally good with Castle and Sohan if you wanted to go the other way. I think they're all interesting. It's just a big slate. And then with the Lakers side of it, I think Luka's right there with Jokic. And there's some blowout potential risk for the Lakers. San Antonio's made it clear they're trying to tank. That's the other thing I worry a little bit about San Antonio, but they still tried to win the games when they're out there. But Luka and by the way, even Reeves with Luka is not a bad play at 8,900. I think there's probably better stuff on the slate because it's just such a big slate. But I think if it was a smaller slate, I would be totally fine with going with Reeves at 8,900. But Luka and Jokic together, I think, is going to be the normal build when all is said and done. I just don't buy with all of these question marks, all of these doubtfuls this early in the NBA season. I just think we've got to go. We got to go after the surest points. And I mean, in a competitive game against Golden State, I don't see how you're getting less than 65, probably more like 75 from Jokic, and I don't see how you're getting less than 65 and more like 75 from Luka. So if you start with 150 when you've got 4K guys who are going to project it at 6X's, and you're already on your way to 350 without anything crazy happening, and I think it's going to be an incredibly high scoring slate. But I don't think any of the value early in the day is going to matter much by the time it's all said and done because there's so much out there. There's like 900 guys in the injury report right now. It's a madhouse.
As I mentioned, I mean, I ran this just to see, and Scottie Pippen Jr. is showing up in most of the lineups, as is Herter. And again, just to illustrate, I mean, I'd be getting right now 62% Luka and like no Jokic, right? That 1,000 makes apparently like a big difference. But again, this is normally I would say it's worth like just running these things to see what we get at this particular slate. That's just not the case because it really just does not look remotely similar to what it's going to look like later.
Yeah.
But I will say that what it is going to look like later is just more value, which means that, boy. Have you ever? I mean, maybe you have. I don't think I've ever won playing stuff like Luka and a 13K and a 12K guy together.
I definitely have.
Have you?
Usually this is the time of year, yeah. Especially when I was first like early on. Well, there wasn't that many 13K guys. Well, except for the year when Westbrook was like 14-5, but he was like worth it every night. He was putting up like 70 plus a game.
Okay.
I would always be Westbrook and somebody else because it was so you were finding value pieces like. I remember there was one game where Malachi Flynn, I think, had like 85 fantasy points. Not an exaggeration.
I don't know if it was 85, but it was.
No. Yeah, he had something like that for no joke. For a month, he averaged 50 sheets. It was like 5 years ago, something like that. No, it was even before that because maybe it wasn't Flynn. It might have been somebody else.
It was that long ago.
I remember doing him with a show with this is way back with Siege. And we had some conversations about these the other guys or whatever, and he was whoever he was saying couldn't get there ended up with like 40 real life points. It may not have been Malachi Flynn. Malachi Flynn though did have some months. Yeah, he did have some. He did average like 50 for a month almost.
One thing I will say is that Champagne looks a little bit better on FanDuel at least for now. Herter looks better. And it's weird, like Herter looks better on FanDuel, which doesn't usually make sense because usually the three-point shooters don't look as good on FanDuel as they do on DraftKings. But I guess just because of the positional stuff, and who knows. But
I think it's a positional thing, both he and Champagne, because you don't have other value at small forward. So they're the ones who stand out. Shaden Sharp looks a lot better. Speaking of small forwards over there. I mean, Jared Butler, wow, his projections are already bumped up. So since we started the show, so some people must have been announced out this morning.
It's pretty cool. I mean, like baseball's coming up. It's like you have baseball teams like announcing like the starter for opening day, and we don't even know who's playing like in 10 minutes for the NBA. Right?
It is pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right, let me just see real quick. I just didn't take a quick look to see. I'm sure there was some NBA early news here that we didn't get.
I'm sure.
Let's see. Sunday. Okay, so this is yesterday, but let me just double check because I'm seeing different numbers already. Andrew Wiggins was not at shoot around. Additional news. Oh, now Marcus Smart, Trey Lyles, Scottie Pippen Jr., and Quentin Post are questionable also.
Scottie Pippen Jr. is questionable.
Yeah. Doubtful. They're going to try to play him though because they're trying to win. Yeah. So I guess nothing crazy new, but we'll see, man. It's going to be a wild slate. Maybe it's a good one. Travis asking for a hockey show. Travis, are you a site member? I thought he was before. There's been hockey shows pretty much every day. Adam Perry's been doing hockey shows.
Adam freaking tilted me. I rearranged my whole freaking schedule so that I could do a noon whatchamacallit NBA when you were out the other day. And then I saw because he was doing an 11:30 hockey, they bumped my start time to 12:30, so I had to wait for him to finish with his freaking hockey. So the point is that there is hockey material out there. And you know what? I don't know if I have time, but maybe I'll do one today. Maybe I will.
Yeah, that, I mean, hey, look, and then Adam is pretty. You know, he's got a little bit.
Adam, for lack of a better term, he's better than me at hockey. So I would watch for whenever he fires something up on hockey for sure.
Yeah. All right. So check out so we'll keep an eye out for that. I'll be live later with you at 6:30. Yep. It's 6:30 because it's at 7:30. Is that good with you?
It sounds good. I really hope that we have some news by then, though. Because I end up just sitting there, just like doing nothing. You know, like,
it is frustrating, and it's it's an argument for maybe starting. It's hard to start later because we have to do our lineups, and at least for me, I have to try to do it for the customers.
I wonder if there's any other way to do this. And now I'm just thinking again. We always try to think about. We can talk about this offline. Actually, yeah, you hang in there after you stop because I want to talk about that stuff anyway.